This is the Khoodeelaar television channel being broadcast on the internet, only on the internet, not on satellite, not on terrestrial, not on cable platforms. This is 0825 hours GMT, 0825 hours British Standard Time on Friday, the 24th of January 2025. This is continuing an in-depth, investigative, extensive, intensive look at the so-called British mainstream media, with the focus on what the private lie satirically says anti-corruption, and anti-corruption. Sound very similar? Anti is the replacement of anti, and the identification by Tulip Siddiq, ascribed to Tulip Siddiq by Private Eye's writer, as the corruption niece, engaged with the corruption with the anti, embodying corruption, the anti being Sheikh Hasina. And this appears next to the photograph taken in 2013 of Tulip Siddiq posing as she stood next to anti-corruption Sheikh Hasina, who stands next to Vladimir Putin. In this photograph, established as being taken in 2013, when by her later denials and explanations, so-called, Tulip Siddiq was visiting uncle Vladimir Putin with her anti-corruption auntie Sheikh Hasina, aunt and uncle Vladimir Putin. The Rupur, which is in northwest of Dhaka, Rupur power plant, which was built by the Russians via the Russians' Rosatom organization operation. The cost of it was overstated by at least £5 billion. And the difference between the actual price and the exaggerated amount was the amount that has been embezzled by anti-corruption Sheikh Hasina, along with her niece corruption Tulip Siddiq, along with her sister corruption Tulip Siddiq's mother Sheikh Rehana. But the item in the unheard, UNHERD, internet outlet, written by very much an Amit Roy type of Indian, about Tulip Siddiq and the Starmer imbroglio, contains absolute rubbish, lies, untruths, fabrications, and fantasies. It places Sheikh Mujib in 1971 right in the middle of the so-called, that was later discovered, War of Liberation, When the truth is that Sheikh Mujib was arrested, and his detractors have said that he volunteered the arrest by the then Federal Pakistani military, who then took him to then West Pakistan and kept him detained incommunicado. That is to say, Sheikh Mujib was not allowed any contacts with the outside world for the entire duration of his detention. And as the now deceased BBC Bengali service employee Sirajur Rahman has revealed in his accounts of speaking with Sheikh Mujib during the early 1972, when the remaining Pakistan military released Sheikh Mujib and let him fly from Pakistan to London, from where he went to meet Indira Nehru. And after the secret talks with her, he was allowed to fly to what had by then become Bangladesh, which, when he was arrested during the early part of 1971, was East Pakistan. By the time Sheikh Mujib arrived in the now, quote, liberated by the Indians, invading the then East Pakistan under the orders of Indira Nehru, Sheikh Mujib was installed not as the first president in the liberated, within quotation marks, Bangladesh, but the second president. Because the first president was Abu Saeed Chowdhury. So this Indian writer, reminiscent of the miniature midget Amit Roy of the Daily Telegraph, gets that wrong. He says that Mujib was there all the time, and he became the founder of Bangladesh, and he became the first president of Bangladesh. Not true at all. And in that narrative, which is obviously a product of the scripting by the Indian propaganda machine, is of course in denial of the entirety of the demography and the population of the state of Bangladesh. The entire population is made up of the Mujib family, according to the Indian narrative. Although it is the 8th most populous country in the world, according to the Indian propaganda, Bangladesh has got only one population, that is as many as the number of the people in the Mujib family. So the grotesque expertise allowed by the United Kingdom conservatives, anti-Muslim elements who founded the Unheard website in 2017, is only aggravating the untruth, misinformation at the expense of the people of Bangladesh. During an interview with Reuters news agency conducted on 23rd of January 2025, which is yesterday, The interim Bangladesh government's chief advisor, Muhammad Yunus, has stated on the record, as released by the Reuters news agency yesterday, saying words to the effect that Sheikh Hasina exaggerated the rate and the facts of the economic growing under her dictatorship. I knew that all along. And everyone who has been an observer of the Sikh Awami League thugs knows one of the ironic things that happened in the actual act of the assassination of Sheikh Mujib on the 15th of August 1975 was that history and the population of Bangladesh were deprived of the vindication that was going to happen very soon. Instead of Sheikh Mujib being painted and portrayed by the evidence, on the facts, as the front person of a corrupt regime, which it was, he was allowed to become a martyr post facto. Had he not been murdered, his regime was sinking so fast that even Henry Kissinger could not keep pace with whatever facilities Kissinger possessed of linguistically deriding Bangladesh, even further than what he had done already, by condemning it as a basket, bottomless basket. We shall be talking about the entirety of Tulip Siddiq, her anti-corruption, and the mythology around Sheikh Mujib. Now, the settlement that was encouraged actually by the dirty digger Rupert Murdoch of the litigation brought by more than 1,000 people, including, or more than 1,000 claimants, including especially Harry Windsor. The settlement to that litigation that was reached earlier this week has been covered only partially by The Guardian and the I newspaper and the Independent. The Daily Mail, the Daily Mirror, and the Scum and the Telegraph and the Times have not found any space on the front pages to even tokenistically make a record of the deal that eventually was reached at Dirty Digger Rupert Murdoch's behest with Harry Windsor's lawyers. And I believe that the point that has been made in a tweet by the former editor of The Guardian, Alan Rasvijar, whom I call Alan Rubbisher, that this one is the latest that has been ended, latest legal action against Rupert Murdoch that has been ended by Murdoch paying hefty sums of money. And what Rubbisher actually points out craftily, and I entirely agree with him, absolutely, that this payout, handout to the claimants allows the dirty digger to get away from scrutiny in a court of law. The dirty digger has evaded being scrutinized, and his corruption, masquerading as journalism, has remained unscrutinized. So he has not been held to account. The phrase holding to account that Harry Windsor mentioned many times remains active and valid. So we shall be looking further into this in later editions today and later. This is ending at 0840 hours GMT, and the length of this broadcast has been just under 16 minutes. On Friday, the 24th of January 2025,